My video for July the 20th, 2019 is entitled More Quotes from Information Clearinghouse, and this is video number 3152. As I've said in previous videos, I subscribe to Information Clearinghouse, ICH, which is not-for-profit, for justice, 100% non-commercial, fearless, forthright, and independent. News you won't find on CNN or Fox News. I have of Fox News. Why did I type it that way? Anyway, let me fix that right away because I won't see it otherwise. In today's video, I want to read quotes by Hermann Hesse, German poet and novelist, Ralph Waldo Emerson, famous author from the 19th century, and finally one from William Blake, extracted from Jeremy Taylor's book, Ag Please Daddy, a South African musician. In our culture, so-called leaders kill, lie, and persecute those who try to tell the truth and wake people up to the reality of this world some say is just an illusion. So I'm actually going to begin by reading the Hermann Hesse quotation, and he said, quote, "We kill at every step, not only in wars, riots, and executions. We kill when we close our eyes to poverty, suffering, and shame. In the same way, all disrespect for life, all hard-heartedness, all indifference, all contempt is nothing else than killing. With just a little witty skepticism, we can kill a good deal of the future of a young person." End quote. I just looked up who was Hermann Hesse. He was a German poet, as I said, and novelist. He won in 1946, he won a Nobel Prize for literature. And he wrote about authenticity, self-knowledge, and spirituality. Those were his basic subjects. Next quote. "Most men have bound their eyes with one or another handkerchief and attached themselves to some one of these communities of opinion. This conformity makes them not false in a few particulars, authors of a few lies, but false in all particulars. Their every truth is not quite true. Their two is not the real two, their four not the real four, so that every word they say chagrins us, and we know not where to begin to set them right." End quote. And that's from Ralph Waldo Emerson's writings, Essays on Self-Reliance, 1841, the first series. And he was, again, a transcendentalist. He was the founder, or one of the founders, of the transcendentalist movement in the mid-19th century, and he was a graduate of Harvard Divinity School. The last quote is, again, quote, "He who would do good," quote, wrote William Blake, quote, "must do so in minute particulars. General good is the plea of the scoundrel, the hypocrite, and the liar." End quote. It is also the plea of most political ideologues who do not hesitate, and often in the name of the people, to persecute in minute particulars for the sake of the general good. End quote. And that's an extract from Jeremy Taylor's book, Ag Please Daddy, a South African musician. And he is a retired English folk singer and songwriter who spent most of his life in South Africa, Johannesburg to be exact. He's an English teacher and a graduate of Oxford University. I didn't read that yet. I also got an interesting note from one of my readers who actually made a contribution to help me out of the financial situation I've been in this month. And he wrote, "One reason I can identify with you is because I stopped taking prescription meds, and I also have tingling in fingers or toes if I don't watch my weight and diet. Lately, I've been making better choices. I'd rather face the consequences of my choices than have multiple drugs interacting. My attitude is like yours in that in that way. I couldn't read my own writing. Oh, and there was actually more in what he sent me, but I just highlighted a few thoughts from it and abbreviated it a little bit. And I do appreciate people like that take time to share how we relate to each other, instead of, as many of them do, attacking me and saying you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. I get nothing out of being told I'm wrong. I gradually uncover some of the areas in my own life where I realize I was wrong. For example, as I've talked about in recent videos, I used to think the Bible was the infallible, inspired word of God. I no longer believe that. The Bible, like most every other sacred writing, has over time been interspersed with other things that were not meant to be anything other than things to confuse us and to set us in the mind control system of fighting each other and not knowing who we are. And I'm struggling to know who I am. I'm struggling to find the answers within myself and to have those answers mesh with the world around me. It's not an either or, inner or outer proposition. It's a both and proposition. It's always been a both and proposition for me. I want both internal peace and external peace, not one or the other. But how do we accomplish that? How do we accomplish having peace when we're riddled with lies and liars? You know, everything in our system has been riddled with lies, and they are interspersed with things that we can resonate with on purpose. Yet, if we don't learn how to separate the wheat from the chaff, we get caught up and bound by the little lies that are actually, in a sense, more devastating than the big lies, because the little lies have been made easy to swallow and easy to believe. But believe has a lie right in the middle of the word itself. How do we know? What do I know? I don't know that I know anything anymore. And I've talked about that, of course, in I think the previous video or two, because this keeps being thrown in my face. We're supposed to know things, not just believe things. But how do we know? I knew the Bible was the inspired word of God. Why? Because I was taught that. But it wasn't knowing, it was belief. And you don't understand how to differentiate between what you know and what you believe until you've had an experience that unravels some of the beliefs and you come to a different point of view, which you might call a knowing, but then that might unravel further downstream and reveal something that you still missed the previous time. So it's a gradual unraveling of truths or opinions or beliefs. It's a gradual unraveling of those till we come to the place where there's stability. And the stability is not just an inner thing. It has to be inner and outer. Our life as we live it has to manifest what's inside, or it doesn't mean anything, at least not to me. Now, it may mean something to somebody else, and many people have died because of their beliefs that were not mainstream accepted. They were criticized by the religions, by the political establishments, by the money system, and they made people become impoverished spiritually and physically. Where can we bring all the pieces together and find resolution to the problems that perplex mankind and have perplexed us for eons? When can we find justification and peace? It's questions I ask myself. Thank you for listening, and namaste.